Just imagine that really nice, delightful, aromatic taste of the cardamom spice and you relishing it in one of the recipes that you really like. And that's what we are doing in today's video. We are working with this cardamom spice to come up with these rolls that we are calling cardamom rolls, and thankfully we are doing them without an oven. So that means that whether you have an oven or not, you can still enjoy this very delightful recipe of cardamom rolls. Please join me as we work in today's recipe that I trust you will enjoy, especially as we walk towards Christmas. It might actually just be one of those you will enjoy as a Christmas breakfast delight. Welcome to Recipes and Hospitality with Clara. This is a channel where we share recipes that are simple, easy to do at home with ingredients toned down just like this one to enhance your hospitality for the glory of God. And if you're new here and this is the kind of content you like, kindly consider subscribing, hit the notification bell. You'll be notified every time I upload new content. I upload this kind of content that is very simple to make with ingredients that are most likely available right where you are, and I can assure you this is toned down ingredients that I'm certain you will love, you will enjoy. So as is always our custom, we will pray and trust the Lord to grant us His help and fruitfulness as we work through this recipe. Indeed, Father, we pray that you be with us, you grant us your help, you grant us your fruitfulness, you grant that our journey of hospitality, especially as we work on this recipe and everything else we do in the kitchen, grant that it will be a blessing and will bring glory to you. So be with me and my viewer in Jesus' name. Amen. Begin by melting your marge or butter like I'm doing. You can use a microwave and microwave for about 10 to 20 seconds. But I have used a hot water bath to do that. I kept swirling until it was all melted. And then in a suitable bowl, mix the dry ingredients except the salt. That's the sugar, the flour, and the yeast. My yeast is really good, so I didn't have to test it. I just opened the packet and worked with it, so I was very sure it's good, or else if it is not, you may have to mix it in some warm water with a little sugar. Give it 5 minutes so that if it bubbles, you know that it is good. So I have mixed that, and then later on I mixed in the salt because you don't want it to be in direct contact with the yeast. Once I mixed that, I made a well in the center and went ahead and mixed in the wet ingredients. That's the melted marge or butter, half of the milk, and the egg. And then now, as I am mixing it all together, I'm adding the milk a little at a time. And for this flour, my brand of flour, I used about 3/4 cups of milk. But because different flours will hydrate at different levels, you may use slightly more than I have. But usually it should be somewhere around 3/4 cup of milk to just milk that is getting to a full cup. But the important thing is, as you have seen, make a really soft sticky dough. The kind that is almost dropping, because that will make very tasty cardamom rolls. I will now transfer my dough that I have incorporated everything in until well mixed. I will transfer onto a floured surface and then go ahead and knead for about 3 to 5 minutes. You can take longer, actually up to 10 minutes, but personally I think by 5 minutes my dough should have kneaded really well. So once you've kneaded, transfer the dough back into the bowl that you had used. I have washed mine, but really you don't have to wash because really it's the same dough. So transfer it back and then cover it with a clean kitchen towel. This is optional, but you can do this just to keep it soft and supple, especially the surface of the dough. Dust it with a little salad oil, not too much, and then cover it with a clean kitchen towel and place it a warm place in your kitchen, or take it outside, especially on a sunny day where it will get an opportunity to proof or to rise until it has doubled in size. But as we speak, my kitchen is rather cold because it's raining actually as I'm working on this recipe. So I will create a microclimate where I will heat up some water until it is hot, and then I'll fill a small saucepan or sufuria like I'm doing up to a quarter, because you don't want it too hot to burn your yeast before it works in your dough. Cover it. As you see, I have doubled the kitchen towel that I used to cover it so that we just have the warmth, because what we need is the warmth, not the heat. And then now place your dough on that surface of the saucepan. Remember, it's not actually going in because you just want the heat, and allow it to proof for about 45 minutes to 1 hour. Meanwhile, as we wait for it to proof, I'm going ahead to work with my jaggery, or as we call it here in Kenya, nguru, because you can use this or you can use brown sugar, because both of the sugars are unrefined. So if you have brown sugar, that is still good. But because I have this jaggery, I'm going to just grate it as you have seen me do, because I need about 2 tablespoons of the same. I have my marge or butter, as you can see, in my bowl, and then we are going to use the cardamom spice. I really like to grind my own cardamom at home, but I haven't had opportunity to buy the whole one, so I'm using the powder one. But as you know, the whole one, when you grind it, the taste is really nice and aromatic. But if you don't have powder one, will still do. I will heap my tablespoon with the jaggery that I have used, and I will mix these 3 ingredients together: the marge or butter, the 2 tablespoons of jaggery or nguru, and the tablespoon of cardamom spice that as you saw, I put in really generously. And you're going to mix these 3 really well until they are well combined and well mixed. So remember, when you're using brown sugar, still put 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. So you can see it's really well combined. By the way, it feels really nice mixing. It's not really hard to do that. Set this aside, and now we will go ahead and grease our pan with some fat or marge. So we will grease generously until well greased, and then we will go ahead and dust it with some little flour, ensuring to spread the flour until it has covered the entire pan, and then we will remove any extra like I am doing. Now we are ready to work with our dough that has been proofing for about an hour, and you can see now it has doubled in size. We will now transfer it to a floured surface. I will give it just a little knead, maybe for a minute or so. This knead really is to just ensure that it is evenly, worked through, because some parts were exposed on the surface, as you saw, and so you just want it to be evenly mixed. Really, the dough just to be even, and then we will continue working with it. So that's what I'm trying to do, so that now we can roll it out into our rectangle, the typical one for making rolls. So now go ahead and roll it out into a rectangle shape. I will usually work with about 37 centimeters in length and 27 centimeters in width. You can use a tape measure or a ruler to measure this. Can be plus 1 to 3 centimeters or thereabout. But you don't want bigger than that, because it's going to be too wide, and so it may not be as accurate. And then just ensure that it's not sticking on the surface like I have done. Now that we will need to roll it up once we have added in our filling. So take your filling of cardamom, of the brown sugar or jaggery, and the marge or butter, and apply it on the surface of your dough. I'm just putting it in the different corners just to ensure that when I start rubbing it onto the dough, it will be as evenly distributed as I can get it to be. So just using my hands, I'm going to apply this onto that surface and ensure that this mixture is evenly applied onto that surface. So I have tried to do it as evenly as possible, and now begin to roll the dough so that it forms a cylindrical shape, like that rope-like cylindrical shape. So we are going to roll it up like I'm doing, really tightly or firmly, ensuring to maintain the shape, especially on the edges, because you want the whole rope-like shape that you will make to everything to be evenly distributed, really. So once you've done that, I'm going to pinch slightly on the edge so that I just make sure that the filling is inside, So just pinch to close it up like I'm doing, and then we will continue. So once we have pinched it and it looks evenly distributed, as you can see, it's looking very nice. I am going to cut it into 10 equal shapes as much as possible, and usually how I do this is I begin by cutting off the edges that are on the two opposite sides so that I am left with an even number that I can work with when cutting the shapes into even sizes. What I mean now, once I've done that, I will remain with 8 pieces. So I will first cut it into 2 equal sizes and then cut the remaining one into quarters and then into eighths, as you can see I have done. And then we'll go ahead and arrange these pieces on our pan as evenly as we can, and then we will continue from there. I've tried to arrange them as evenly as I could. My pan is about 11 inches in diameter, so you can use that kind of a pan or sufuria. It will still work very well. So now we are going to still transfer it back to our warm environment. This water now is not too hot. I'm not doubling it because really the water is not too hot. I will place my cinnamon rolls on that surface, and then cover with a clean kitchen towel and allow them to proof for another 20 to 25 minutes, and then we will go ahead and bake them without an oven, as I will show you how I do it. So this is about 25 minutes later. You can see they have really puffed up and proofed. So we are going to transfer them. I will ensure to cover them with a lid that is not too flat so that in case they need to rise, they don't have to stick on the lid. So ensure to work with a lid like that one. But that one is too wide, so I will still get this particular one that I will cover with, because it has some allowance for them to rise in case they rise beyond that pan. Then I'm transferring it onto my gas stove top. On my stove top, as you can see, I'm going to allow it on full flame for about 20 to 30 seconds just to heat up the pan, and then we are going to reduce it to the lowest. And remember, we are not reducing that way, the way your manufacturer has structured your gas cooker to reduce to its lowest. That's still usually too high. It's going to burn our rolls before they are ready. So we will bring it back up and then take it as though we are switching off and get it to the lowest, the kind that if you blew really hard on it, it would actually go off. That's the kind that is going to bake your rolls for about 30 to 40 minutes depending on the size of your flame. Now that we may not all get to the same size, but remember, you're getting to that really low flame, so we will give it about 30 to 40 minutes. Sometimes mine will take 30, sometimes 35, sometimes 40. So allow them to bake until they are ready and they have firmed up on the surface. Mine have taken 40 minutes this time, and I can tell they are now ready. They are soft, but you can see they have firmed up on the surface. They are looking really delightful, as you can see. We can actually just have them like this, but I really like to have them brown also on the surface. So I will show you what we will do, but you can see they are looking very nice. So I'm going to use 2 flat lids to do what I'm about to do, because I want to invert them back into the pan so that they can brown on that surface. So I will turn them over onto the first lid. Now you can see we have turned them over onto that lid. So I will take the second lid, and you can see they are looking really nice and delightful. They haven't burned, they've just cooked very well. So I will turn them over onto the second lid because I want that top part to come back up, so that now I can take my pan and slide it gently over the cardamom rolls. And by the way, they are smelling just wonderfully. The aroma is really nice in this kitchen as we cook. So we are going to turn them over back into the pan. Really, we are inverting them back into the pan, and because they are already cooked, we are only going to give them 10 minutes so that they can brown on that surface. And because we don't want the steam to drop onto our rolls and cause them to be soggy, I'm going to allow some space, as you can see I have done, so that the steam can escape. As I speak now, this is 10 minutes later, so I'm going to turn them over onto a clean plate or suitable, you can use a suitable platter. You can leave them in the pan if you want, because you can still serve them, but I like to just transfer them onto a surface where they will be easier to work with. So you can see they are looking really nice. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and work on the filling. And the filling that I'm using is very simple because, as you know, for us in our country, cream cheese can be quite costly and we don't have the milk right now to work on our own homemade cream cheese. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use lemon. We are going to use the filling where we will work with just lemon and icing sugar. I'm using about half a lemon juice. That is a big lemon, so lots of juice, but half, and then 1 cup of icing sugar. So just mix that together. And we also like it because it has that tangy taste. It's not too sweet. And as you know, I don't know, in Kenya we don't like a lot of sweet things, as you know, so I just applied it not too generously, so that those who don't like a lot of icing in this household, because there are some who don't like a lot of sugar, can take the parts that don't have a lot of icing. So now we can get to taste our cardamom rolls, and I am assuring you, you will love these ones. They were tasty. We enjoyed them a great deal. How is it?
So good. Very nice.
Try this recipe for your hospitality and enjoy. Enhance your hospitality for the glory of God. Check out this recipe also, the cinnamon rolls that we've done, again without an oven. And the interesting thing with this one, I didn't put any brown sugar. So that tells you, even your cardamom rolls, if you don't put brown sugar, you are still going to enjoy them a lot. We enjoyed these ones as well, and I trust you will too. So thank you so much for joining me for today's recipe. Look out for our next one, again, that is very simple to make with ingredients that are toned down as we do on this channel. And until that next video, see you then, or in this video right here.